Uh, welcome, yo. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Lesson Overtime with your host, Miss Vicky. Time. It teaches us so many lessons. So, Lesson Overtime with your host, Miss Vicky. Time. It teaches us so many lessons. So, Lesson Overtime with your host, Miss Vicky.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to another episode of Lessons Over Time. I am the host, Miss Vicky. I'm also known as Grandma Vicky, but I'm better known as just Mom. And on today's episode, I want to talk about broken, being broken. Have you ever been broken? I have been broken. When I was in my marriage, I was a broken vessel. Felt like nobody could use me anymore. I just felt so broken. But listen, when you find yourself in that place, don't believe it. There is a God that sits high and looks low. Bring yourself to the potter's house. He can remake you. He'll make you back the way that He wants you to be. He'll make you whole again. Now, listen, when I was young, I was caught up in a marriage that I shouldn't have been in. And of course, I loved my husband. I did. He was good looking, he had the goods, he was smart, but he was addicted to drugs and alcohol. When I first met him, I thought it was just alcohol and it was all just a good time. I didn't drink or smoke, but he was a good time. And that's where I went wrong. Because we end up going down a path that we shouldn't have went down, a path of destruction for him. And it was going to lead to destruction if I kept following him. But I didn't know how to get out of it. Because once you get into a relationship with someone who is an alcoholic, they tend to want to bring you down. He lowered my self esteem so bad. I was so broken, y'all. It wasn't even funny. I was a broken vessel. I looked okay on the outside, and everybody thought I was happy and that our marriage was okay until I couldn't hide it anymore because guess what? Those cracks that were inside of my vessel were starting to split even more and started leaking. And so everything started leaking out and started splitting wider and wider to the point I couldn't hide the fact that he was being abusive. He was just not a good person anymore. Although his heart was still good and I saw that God could still use him, I tried to fix him. God said, "Did I tell you to fix him?" What's that song? Move, get out the way. But I'm like, I could do it. I could fix him. I could do it. Let me just dust him off a little bit. I can fix him. uh, God said, I didn't say I need your help, but go ahead. If you want to, go ahead. I'm going to turn you over to a reprobate mind, and you think you could do better than me, then go ahead. Push me on out there. And I was on a journey that I didn't know how to get out of. I don't know if you guys ever watched The Wizard of Oz, and I'm sure I talked about this before because it's one of the shows that I like to watch that kind of to me has a lot of life lessons. People say it's evil, whatever, but I found a lot of life lessons. I found that Dorothy was so hard headed that she didn't want to listen to Auntie M, and they told her to come inside and take cover, but no, she wanted to go out there and chase after that dog. That's just how I felt I was. Being hard headed. My mom said, no, he can't come over here anymore. I said, but I loved him. And, and he kept coming over and he won my mother's heart over because he was a mechanic, he was a plumber, he was all the things, and he wasn't as bad as they thought. So they thought. But he had a good heart. So he was actually he was such uh I don't know. He had such a good heart. Sometimes it would overrule the fact that he was an alcoholic, I guess. But I continued to go on, and I thought that I could fix him. Even my pastor told me, "Listen, he anointed him with a whole bottle of oil." He had tried to do everything to get my husband to go on the right path. Even I had put him into a rehab where they even took out, and gave him new blood. We tried everything. He even got arrested for drunk driving many times. And the judge told him, if I see you in my courtroom one more time, you're going to jail. Matter of fact, you're not going to jail. I'm going to send you to prison for 2 solid years. And my husband just, when you are addicted to something, you just don't think, it ain't gonna happen to you. And lo and behold, he got arrested. And when he got arrested in those 2 years, that was like when I went down that and this was years later into our marriage that we had been going through this over and over and over again. It was just like a roller coaster. It was something I felt like I couldn't get off, and I was so broken that I felt like I was just useless to anybody. But when he went to jail for those 2 years, that's when I was able to make a U turn and turn back and go the other way and follow God. And I said, if you ever get me out of this, God, I will never do this again. And I was able to serve him divorce papers while he was still in jail and able to get myself together. I got a promotion on my job. I moved. I did everything that I could to make sure that me and my children will have the life that we were supposed to have. And God was so merciful. He gives us all grace and mercy. He really does. I'm no special person. He gives it to all of us. What you do with that grace and mercy will be up to you and the decisions you make, because we have free will. We can do whatever we want to do, but it's much easier when you follow the Lord. Now, I know I'm not sitting here telling people, oh, you need to go to church and all that stuff, because churches today are a whole lot different than they were back in the days. But they told me when I was in church, oh, stay with your husband. God's a God of marriage, and you got to be married, and all the stuff, all the stuff. But you have to find God for yourself. You have to get an understanding for yourself, and you have to know what's right for you in your life. I know as for me, when I was in church, again, they told me I had to stay with my husband. God was a God of marriage, blah, blah, blah. And I believe all of that. But like I said, you have to get a relationship, a personal relationship for God for yourself. Get an understanding so you know what is for your what he has for your life. Always try to be in tune. You're going to make many, many mistakes, but don't forget, God allows U-turns. I was so broken that I just thought God could not, at this point, could not fix me or anything. I asked God to forgive me. If you get me out of this, I will never, ever, ever do it again. And I promised myself. And God, thank God he's a God that didn't judge me, didn't hold it over my head. He just loved me right where I was. And I just feel like I look back over my life and I'm like, man, how did I get here? How did I finally get to happiness? And I look down and I only see one set of footprints. And I said, I know I didn't walk this journey alone. God said, no, I carried you. I carried you to the spot where I needed you to be because of your obedience. Obedience is better than sacrifice. I try to sacrifice so many things to make my husband see what I was seeing in God. God said, no, everybody has to take this journey on their own. Your responsibility is to make sure that your kids stay on the straight and narrow path and train them up in the way they should go. And when they get older, they won't depart. Now, they may stray off course just like you did, but if you train them, they will come back. And now that I'm a grandmother, I talk to my grandkids and I pour into them and I tell them to stay on the right path. You're gonna stray. I know when you get to that age of 13, oh my God, you are going to discover you are not an infant child anymore. You're not a little kid. You're about to enter into adulthood, and it is the most terrifying, confusing stage in your life. But if you stay on course, honor your mother and father, things will work out for you. But first of all, put God first. You might not understand who He is, but start off just believing and knowing that there is a God. And when you get older, you won't forget, and He will allow you to come back to Him. I'm no Bible scholar. I can just tell you the lessons that I learned in my life over time. And those are some of the lessons I learned over time. What are your lessons you've learned? And with that being said, that's about it. Peace.
Thank you for watching. Lessons over time. But your host, Miss Vicky, shouting truth in love time. Lonely clouds with lessons over time. Never sent to course, you only build your mind. They were shaping your all, they were steady your fight. Always keep God first, yeah. And you